All right, let's talk a little bit more now about our top story, and that about the situation in Kunduz in northern Afghanistan. It might even fit into a broader political picture, and this is something we're going to ask Hashmat Moslih about. He's Al Jazeera's political analyst and commentator on Afghanistan. First of all, start by telling us why Kunduz matters to both sides, the Taliban and the government.
Yes. Well, Kunduz is a very divided city. It's a city that is divided between various ethnicities in Afghanistan. The predominant division is between the Pashtuns and the Tajiks. During the time of the Taliban, they had controlled the city for a long time. And at the moment, with this conference coming up, the Taliban do want to show their force, that they can capture a major city, that they are still a force to reckon with. And for that reason, they have taken this city. But what's interesting is that the government does not have a strategy to fight the Taliban. The government is pursuing a peace process through negotiating with the neighboring countries and the Taliban inside Afghanistan. And for that reason, Afghanistan's armed forces, they do not have a direction, although they are well armed compared to Taliban. They have well trained compared to Taliban, but they lack leadership. And
so it's an absence of strategy, is what you're saying?
For sure. There's an absence of a strategy in Afghanistan, and also the government, which is divided between various ethnic groups. Certain elements within the government, they do not want to take on the Taliban. They want to use the Taliban as a bargaining chip against their political foes inside the government. Very recently, Hamid Karzai, in an interview to BBC, said that what is wrong if the Taliban capture some provinces? They are Afghans. Who has the right to tell the Taliban not to rule or control parts of Afghanistan? This is a very amazing, astonishing statement by the former president of Afghanistan.
It's an admission that central power cannot be centralized in Kabul itself. But how will all of this play out then in Brussels when this meeting of the major donors happens? I mean, does this actually benefit Ashraf Ghani and his government in Kabul, insofar as he's obviously going to need even more funding to try and keep a lid on violence in the country? Yeah.
But first, ironically, as you said, that this is about not keeping power in center or decentralizing power. Ironically, the current government, headed by Ashraf Ghani, is against decentralizing power. But to come to the question of Brussels and the donor, yes, it's a winner for all sides. The Taliban are going to show their force. The government is going to claim that they need more funding. And the Americans are going to stay because they have an interest in the region to have their forces in Afghanistan.
And overall, it might be difficult to say generally around the country, but it seems to me that there's got to be a certain amount of sympathy for the Taliban, certainly among the civilians in Kunduz. Some of the Taliban fighters, we understand, have actually taken up residence in people's houses, making it even more difficult for Afghan forces to root them out.
Well, the Taliban are using the old tactics that they used before when they captured most of Afghanistan. What they do is that they have safe houses. They smuggle lots of weapons in those safe houses, and then they send their fighters without weapons into the city. And in an opportune moment, both from inside and outside of the city, they begin their attack. And this is exactly the pattern that we see has happened in Kunduz right now, where the Taliban launched the attack from 4 different directions, and within hours, they've reached the center of the city. That is impossible logistically to get from this. Kunduz is not a very small city, it's a very large city. To get to the center of it, there has to be support from inside the city.
OK, we'll have to leave it there, but very interesting to talk to you, as always. Hashmat Moslih, thank you very much.
Thank you.